Welcome to Fade the Public. This is your host, Leo Herrera, on a mission to spread the truth.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo.
I got Landon Meadows here with me. He's been a mentor on the monetized section where I've learned so much about psychology around money and the velocity of money. And this is a topic that I'm very intimate to talk about, and I would love to get deep with you and ask you some questions, around that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's one of the things that people get so caught up in today's world, and everyone's chasing money, but no one can figure out how to hold on to it, how to keep it, and how to make it chase them.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's start a little bit about yourself. Kind of give us a little introduction as to what you do and what you're in right now.
Right. So for sure. So I'm 23 years old. I've been married for about 4 years. I'm originally from Wyoming, but a couple years ago I moved out to the East Coast to be more involved in helping impact people with their finances. I discovered that my philosophy's always been, if you want to get really good at something, you find someone who's a master at it and you have them teach you everything they know, right? That's just the best. They success leaves clues, right? As Tony Robbins would say. And so that was what brought me to the East Coast, seeing that learning the skill about mastering money was my way of being able to impact people. So
that's amazing. And it really is like that. Gathering mentors that allow you to do something that you weren't capable of and they're very capable of doing, and just learn it. It's the name of the game. So let's get right into the psychology. I feel like this is the first step of money in general. A lot of us, we don't have the right attitude towards money. So what are some of the things that you would tell people that are struggling with that aspect to start doing it today?
Well, so the first thing is money. If you hold up money, it's a piece of paper. It's neutral. It's not evil. Money is not the root of all evil. They get that from the Bible and they think, oh, God says money is bad. But the full verse is actually for the love of money, which is dealing with the pride and idolization of money. So it's different. Money is not a bad thing. Money is a magnifying tool that increases your ability to impact others. So looking at when people have that relationship with money as, more of a scarcity or this negative energy around it, typically those are the people that don't have it. And in a lot of our generations, most American families, things like, hey, make sure you close the door because the AC's on, close the door of the house, or the refrigerator, or things like that, trying to save the little last piece of ice cream in an ice cream jar.
If that's going to make that much of a difference.
Right. And so people, they focus so small. And I forget who said it, but one of the biggest quotes I ever heard was, you can't save your way to financial freedom. But people are trying to do that by, oh, hey, maybe I went to this gas pump that was 2 cents a gallon cheaper. Right? You saved $1. You're not going to change your financial state over $1. So the relation of money is understanding that it's beneficial, it magnifies the good things in you, and what you do with it and the energy and emotion you assign to it is going to determine your result with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's that money EQ, not IQ, that we really got to develop. And I feel like at the end of the day, we live in an economic planet. It's our moral responsibility to be rich, to have money, because you can't help the world when you're poor. You just can't.
Right.
And if you really want to make an impact in this world, you got to start off by having the economic benefits. So I truly believe it does start with mindset. That's kind of how it all started with me when I started to learn about money. I just being the guy that I am, it's always been about the mind, and I understood that the emotional aspect of money was something that at first, my parents grew up in a very my dad grew up in a family that didn't have that much in money, and my mom was the complete opposite. And then in my childhood, it was kind of like a combination of the two mindsets. It was almost feeling like I was not the rich kid, but I was good, And then also like having that side with my dad where I was like, I gotta save my money. I don't want him to spend that much money on me. Like it was always behind my mind. So emotionally, I always in the beginning felt like I couldn't like spend that much money. I needed to save. And that, it was ultimately like good for me. Like I started to save for some money and it helped me. But until I finally made that mindset shift, to be like, okay, like there's an abundance of money like everywhere, and like there really is no lack of any of it. I started to feel like I attracted people and money like in different ways that I didn't think of. That's just how it kind of goes with the universe and stuff and how you attract things. I started to create that vibration of abundance that allowed me to attract more of those things.
Absolutely. One of those things, to your point, it's like, say for example, you're at the car dealership, right? And you can buy an older car or a used car. Like right now, I was at the dealership the other day, and I could have saved $4,000 right on a car. Took $4,000. If you ask most families, like, hey, if I gave you $4,000, would that make a difference to you? And they'd be like, yeah, that'd be awesome, right? I could have saved $4,000 to get a not near as nice car, but having that little bit of a nicer car, and there's obviously I didn't spend $100,000 extra for like a Porsche or nothing like that, but having that confidence that it gives me, being able to show up to different meetings and pick people up and have that like, oh, hey, this is a nice car. It creates a positive environment for any interaction I have with that car over the next 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So $4,000 for countless positive interactions, it doesn't. When you put it into perspective, it's actually it's more beneficial. It's money well spent.
No, it really is. And energy. Money is energy, and it's like, and you were talking about how money is emotion. It's energy in motion, and it really is neutral. Like, we get off, like it starts off as a neutral thing, but we apply our beliefs, our energy towards it, and that's where money can work as your friend or as your enemy. And
absolutely.
So let's get to step 2, which is learning your numbers, budgeting, understanding, when to, make more money or spend less money or the opposite. Like, what do you suggest for those types of things?
Well, absolutely. So once you have that relationship, it's like, okay, you might love to play golf, right? I know you're a great golfer, but no matter how much you enjoy or love it, if you don't know how to swing a club, it's not going to be a lot of fun. You're not going to have a lot of success with it, right? So the first thing is like getting those numbers, like you said.
Yeah, budgeting.
Sorry, I totally just blanked for some reason.
You're good.
The phone dinged in my ear, and it's like, wait, what? So getting that clear understanding of where you're at. Like, when you ask people how much is your mortgage or your rent, they usually can tell you that number. How much is your phone bill? Maybe they can tell you that one. How much do you spend a month on groceries? Well, that lands different with people. People, they have no idea how much they're spending on groceries. And it's something that seems as simple as that, is spending money on groceries and like Starbucks. I've seen, helping people with money and advising them, I've seen people spend hundreds of dollars extra every month, which is thousands of dollars a year, that they don't even realize that they're spending. So when you make a budget, one of the things I would say to start off, I would go through, figure out what all of your expenses are. Just go through it, and people are like, well, how do I figure it out? Just go through your bank statement. If you have an online bank, just go online and go through, like, all right, my rent was $2,200 this month. My car payment was this. That $24 here, that was at the gas station, and adding that up. So, okay, in 1 month I spent this much on gas, this much on food, seeing where you're at, this much eating out, this much on just leisure, pleasure activities. Once you can understand that, you can look at that and say, all right, what activities, what things am I spending are worth it and what's not? Because you'll look at some of those things and you're like, man, I spent $285 on Starbucks coffee, and yet I was struggling to make rent this month. Was that coffee worth it?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. So that's understanding the side of like what your expenses are. If you don't have a fixed income and your income can fluctuate, then you have to understand, like, all right, well, what's like the safe number for me on my income? So you can figure out how much you're making, how much you're spending. Then that's like essentially having a full set of clubs and going golfing. Then you got your balls, your clubs, your tees, the whole bit. Now you can start to learn how to play golf. But if you don't know what any of your numbers are, then you're playing without clubs.
Yeah. So it's about figuring out your numbers, and then that allows you to create like a plan, basically, like
exactly.
just a plan for your everyday, and not even about money. It can be like about time too, like where you spend your time.
Absolutely.
And it, like you pointed out on, we spend so much more money on groceries than we should sometimes, just simply because that's what groceries do.
Yeah.
Like psychology, they apply psychology in groceries, where they add like extra things as you get closer to the cashier, so you just grab a couple more things. That's how it is, and it's just facts. So, I mean, I think going in there with a plan in anything can be, especially with golf as well. Like, it's just kind of the way to do it, really. Like, so you can be like more successful and just more aware of like your financial situation or your golf situation.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So what are some ways in which somebody can like start to increase like their income using, you know, they have their 50% expenses of, you know, like whatever they make in their job, but then that rest of the money, you know, like how can they start to utilize that money correctly and just use the velocity of money in their favor?
Right. So once you have your numbers clear, right, and you have, okay, this is what my expenses are, this is what my income is, you need to do one of two things. You either need to decrease your expenses or increase your income. So you have more available cash to, like you said, invest and let it compound, and then leverage to create velocity on money, things like that. So, so some of the ways to decrease the spending would be to plan like your meal, right? Plan your meals ahead of time, and then figure out, what do I need to buy those meals? Okay, so because which is easier, to decrease your spending by $200 a month or increase your income by $200 a month? Well, at first it'll be easier to just decrease your spending by a couple $100 a month. You know, so now you're freeing up this extra income to be able to invest and build wealth. You know, but then you'll get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't not have a car. I don't live like, you know, by next to everything I have, so I can't really cut back anymore. You know, and you still have to live some too. So that's when, once you get to that point, it's like, now I have to look, how do I increase my income? You know, and there's a lot of ways to do that. If you look at the most successful people in this world, or in this country, financially, anyway, you know, they all have businesses. People say tax laws were written for the rich. No, tax laws were written for business owners, and rich people own businesses.
Yeah.
Like, they coincide because of that. And so, never being afraid to meet people, right? There's so many things, like when you meet people, and as you have that clear understanding of your money, and like you're talking about with that abundance mindset, not just about money, but once you get it about money, it kind of translates to the rest of your life. You know, opportunities that speak to you within your passion and things like that, they'll come up. Those people in your life that you never thought you could monetize a skill that you have, then all of a sudden you meet someone that can be like, yeah, here's this, and this is how you can monetize it. And all of a sudden now you have an extra stream of income doing something you love.
Yeah, and once you start opening your mind to this abundance, like my boy David Meltzer says, open minds, open hearts, open hands, and then you start to attract the people in your life that, you know, are right for you and are abundant like you, and it's just like rocket fuels from there.
Yeah.
And it's more about, I mean, to our first point, the psychology. Like, it just goes down. That's the root of it all, where you start to attract those positive influences in your life.
Well, and people they'll kill the opportunity before it presents itself. And what I mean by that is, like, they'll think, oh well, but say I meet all these rich people or these business owners or these people that are going to help me grow my passion in my business, but I don't know how to run a network. I don't know how to do all these things. I don't know all this stuff. So what they do is they end up psyching themselves out and they don't even try. But what they don't realize is that as much as they'd like it to be, it's not going to be an overnight success or overnight thing to get there, to that situation where, like you said, the rocket fuel,
Yeah.
it still takes time, and on that time is a blessing, because that gives you time to grow and adjust each step of the way. So by the time you do get to that success point, you're ready for it mentally, emotionally, maturity. If it came quick, we wouldn't be ready for it. You wouldn't know how to handle it, and most of the time, we would end up losing it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, success comes with responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, those types of things, like, you know, when they appear, like, it's something you gotta handle. It's uncomfortable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's understanding that you're gonna be uncomfortable all the time. Like, it's not gonna get more
Right.
comfortable. That's not the point. Because where you're comfortable is where you're stagnant. Like, you always looking. And Milet talks about it in his new book about, like, you know, being in like uncomfortable, so that, like, all the time looking for something to be uncomfortable in so that you can grow.
Yeah, the power of one more.
Power of One More.
Yeah,
It's a great
exactly.
book. So Landon, so great to have you here on the podcast. I really appreciate your presence and your knowledge about money. And for those of you at home that are struggling to make a financial living, or just want to have financial tips in general, remember, it starts with our psychology, and then you learn your budget, learn your numbers, and you wrap it up with understanding the velocity of money and investing in the proper things once you do start making good money. So thanks for watching, and until next time.
I appreciate every one of you guys for staying until the end of this video. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a like, and follow me on Instagram at fadethepublic_pod. I'll see you in the next one.